Hello there and welcome to CGTN's Global Business. I'm Lincoln Humphreys coming to you live from Beijing, and here are the headlines. Trading gains. China's foreign goods trade surged 15.3% in the first 5 months of 2026 thanks to strong demand for AI, green tech and electronics. Flying fears. Global aviation leaders at the IATA summit in Rio de Janeiro are raising fresh concerns over the Middle East conflict, citing fuel supply and airspace disruptions. And fans offside. With less than a week until the 2026 FIFA World Cup kicks off, football fever is building, but many fans say soaring ticket prices are putting the tournament out of reach. First, we'll take a look at the Chinese mainland markets for you, where equities rallied this Tuesday after trade data beat median forecast. The Shanghai Composite rose nearly 1.3%, while the Shenzhen Component jumped more than 3%, also just up nudging 4% on the Chi-Next. We'll take a look at how the other regional markets performed across Asia and how Wall Street closed overnight. Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and Chinese President, is on a two-day state visit to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. On Tuesday, Xi Jinping and his wife, Peng Liyuan, have paid homage to the China-DPRK Friendship Tower. In the company of Kim Jong-un and his wife, Ri Sol-ju, they observed a moment of silence in memory of the martyrs and the Chinese People's volunteers in front of the tower. Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un agree that the joint fighting in the 1950s is an enduring historical memory of both China and the DPRK. They call for the two sides to maintain the memorial facilities for the Chinese People's volunteers and carry forward their great traditional friendship from generation to generation. Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un have visited the Central Cadres Training School of the Workers' Party of Korea in Pyongyang. Hundreds of teachers and students lined up to greet them. The two leaders visited a class studying the DPRK's foreign relations when a teacher was delivering a lecture on China-DPRK ties. Xi and Kim then toured the campus and learned about the school's infrastructure and teaching arrangements. In a wooded area of the campus, they together planted a fir tree, symbolising the everlasting friendship between the two countries. A commemorative stele was unveiled there, inscribed with phrases both in Chinese and Korean, reading, "May the China-DPRK friendship last forever." China's economy maintained steady progress in May as macro policies took effect across multiple sectors, according to leading indicators released Tuesday by the State Information Centre. Port equipment operating rates rose 9 percentage points year on year, pointing to resilient foreign trade. Merchant activity improved for the third straight month, with offline consumption payments up 2.4% and 0.7 percentage points faster than in April. Investment in AI and humanoid robotics surged about fivefold year on year. Meanwhile, patents granted in strategic emerging industries rose nearly 20%, signalling faster translation of innovation into productive forces. China's foreign trade maintained solid growth momentum in the first 5 months of the year. Official data shows total goods trade surged 15.3% year on year to nearly 21 trillion yuan, nearly $3.1 trillion. Exports rose nearly 12% and imports jumped at 20.5%. Monthly imports and exports have exceeded 4 trillion yuan for 3 consecutive months, with trade increasing 17% in May alone. Strong global demand for AI and green products helped drive an 18.4% rise in exports of mechanical and electronic goods. Trade with other APEC economies accounted for nearly 60% of China's total foreign trade. For a better understanding of China's trade performance, I'd like to bring in Hong Hao, Managing Partner and CIO at Lotus Asset Management. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. So what is the single most important takeaway from China's May foreign trade figures here, and how sustainable is the momentum we're seeing?
Yeah, well, I think one of the most important takeaway is that the momentum continue to accelerate going into the months of May. In April, I think the Chinese exports has been growing double digit, and many of us has been thinking that wow, going into the next months, the growth may not be as high, but surprisingly, I think this month once again we're beating expectation and registering very high double digit exports growth. And also, people notice that the high value-added component of the Chinese exports, as a percentage of total exports, also increasing. I think well over 50% of the Chinese exports now is in the high value-added industries. So I think as a result, we're seeing semiconductor exports and also other electronic equipment exports has been surging, and some of the items, the export growth has been more than double. So I think the momentum is good, and also the composition is well beyond expectation as well. So I think the market is responding to this set of number very positively. This afternoon, we're seeing the China export, which is the high-tech board in high-tech index in the Chinese market, is surging more than 3% in the afternoon trade.
This double-digit export growth is in despite of intense geopolitical headwinds at the moment. Where does the core resilience of China's foreign trade actually lie today? Is it in that integrated industrial ecosystem that's been achieved over many decades, the diversification into emerging markets, or this AI-driven tech upcycle?
Yeah, I think on one hand, it is the well-integrated supply chain system that China has been able to build over the past few years. China has now a very complete set of industry ecosystem in the semiconductor industry, and also in the EV industry, and also the new energy industry. So I think it's very, even if you allow foreign investments to come in to China, it's very difficult to penetrate and grab market share from Chinese manufacturers. And also Chinese manufacturers are starting to invest overseas to be better well suited to the local market's needs. So I think that's for one. And I think secondly, in the first half of the year, we're seeing overseas AI-related capex investment has been going very rapidly as well. The biggest AI tech firms in the US collectively are investing over $1 trillion into AI capex spending. So I think as a result, the demand for AI equipment, semiconductors, has been surging all over the world, especially in the US. So we're expecting this trend to continue in the second half, and that would benefit many of the Chinese high-tech industries.
Looking to the second half of 2026, what risks could most significantly weigh down China's trade growth, do you think?
Yeah, I think, given a very strong set of performance in the first 5 months of the year, I think, it's bound to sort of invite some trade friction from some of the trading partners, especially from Europe. Already, we're seeing the European Union issuing papers and studies trying to point out, the encroachment from Chinese exports in the European local industries. I think, a surging or appreciating Chinese yuan can help to a certain extent to alleviate some of our trading partners' concern. But I think, generating huge trade surplus months after months and year after year, inevitably you would invite some trade friction from partners.
So what will be the key growth drivers for China's foreign trade in that H2 of 2026? Will they be the NEVs and green tech, AI exports continuing, or perhaps deeper Belt and Road integration with emerging economies that could potentially offset any trade frictions with established markets in the US and EU, perhaps?
Yeah, I think the export destination of the Chinese exports has been changing as well. Historically, the US has been, the biggest trading partners for China, and now it's slipped to number 3. The ASEAN countries and also the European Union has been now the biggest trading partner for China. So we're not expecting this composition to change. But having said that, the European unions are really feeling pressure from Chinese EVs and also the Chinese green tech technology firms. So one shouldn't be too surprised to see some pressure from European trading partners in the second half of the year. But I think, to offset that, the continuing AI spending spree, especially coming to the US, it's going to help the Chinese high-tech exports. And then at the same time, over the past few years, China has been expanding and building its signposts in many of the Asian countries, in Africa and also in Southeast Asia. And many of these countries have grown to be, one of the most trading partners for Chinese exports as well. So we are expecting continuing contribution from these destinations for Chinese exports. And then at the same time, I think China has to come up with a strategic plan to cope with the trade friction coming from the European Union.
Thank you very much, Hong Hao. Appreciate your expertise and insight. He is Managing Partner and CIO at Lotus Asset Management. A global surge in AI computing and the green energy transition has created a critical shortage of power transformers. China is meeting this demand with a new export boom in electromechanical products, representing more than 60% of the nation's total exports. CGTN's Zhang Siran talks to industry insiders to see how China's technologies are empowering the world's infrastructure upgrade.
Changzhou in China's Jiangsu province is known as the world's capital of transformers. Inside this plant, thousands of power transformers destined for 108 countries are undergoing final tests.
So this transformer generates a step-up transformer for our power station on the west coast of Ireland.
Very fast delivery, but also very competitive on cost and high quality. Other suppliers, delivery times are very long.
What attracts international buyers is the China speed. A transformer that can take up to 2 years for delivery elsewhere can be shipped from Changzhou in just 4 months. This efficiency is made possible since nearly all core components are made locally. With over 70 export firms in Changzhou, the Yangtze River Delta region is a powerhouse, contributing to China's 60% hold on global transformer production.
We are building a great supply chain synergy that is of great efficiency. So the synergy consists of 4 provinces, including Shanghai, Zhejiang, Jiangsu, and Anhui. We have become the hub for knowledge creation and innovation. So we have many top-tier universities. The central government and the local government are doing a great job by fostering collaboration among different localities, and they can also use policy tools to provide incentives for entrepreneurship and innovation.
China's export share of high-value, high-technology products is forecast to continue its rise.
Chinese transformers can provide ultra-high voltage and stable power supply to AI data centers and computing centers. We are very proud to make a highly efficient delivery, showing great professionality and work ethics of Chinese manufacturing firms. China is not only providing high-quality products, but also providing the entire solution to the power supply of the AI industry in the world.
The factory floor in Changzhou tells the story of China's evolving export growth. It's a shift fueled by the Yangtze River Delta's industrial circle. In order to shape a green and intelligent future, China is expected to increasingly supply the world with its smart manufacturing. Zhang Siran, CGTN, Shanghai.
In recent years, Anhui has been at the forefront of China's new tech revolution and industrial upgrade. With rapid growth in advanced manufacturing and future-focused industries, the province has become a leader in electric vehicles, artificial intelligence and the low-altitude economy. In late May, China's State Council Information Office invited international journalists to explore Anhui's cutting-edge industrial landscape. Our Xu Yi has more.
Speaking of Anhui, you may think of these. But now, when you come here, you'll be fully immersed in a futuristic world.
AI Moga robot traffic police. Hundreds of thousands fold durable flexible screen. It's really like I'm sitting in the future.
In recent years, Anhui has been forging ahead in high-tech fields like new energy, AI, quantum technology, and low-altitude economy. In 2025, it became China's first province to rank top nationwide in passenger car output, NEV production, and auto exports, emerging as a new leader in the country's automotive industry. Recently, the State Council Information Office of China invited global journalists from countries including the US, the UK, and Japan to visit Hefei and Wuhu in Anhui province and find out how the region has grown into an emerging tech hub.
If you are so interested in new vehicles, you're going to be amazed by this moment. Here you can see many vehicles like ET5, ES9, L60 are now rolling out from the production line in its manufacturing plant in Hefei. And this plant is representing the pinnacle of the lean manufacturing for smart vehicles, expanding from Anhui to the world.
Earlier this year, NIO rolled out its 1 millionth vehicle in Hefei, hitting a new milestone. NIO has also advanced battery swap technology. A full battery change takes just 3 minutes now. By late May 2026, more than 3,800 battery swap stations had been built nationwide.
China's auto sector is booming, and we work closely with industry leaders like Chery, BYD, and JAC. Anhui's cluster of more than 3,000 component enterprises strongly supports NIO. This year, we strive for new breakthroughs in output, exports, and battery swap networks.
And when I arrived at Chery Automobile, another automotive giant, everything here was far beyond my expectations.
I'm now at the headquarters of Chery, the largest exporter of vehicles in China. But the first thing I've got here is not the car. It's about robot. This traffic robot police is so cool.
For passenger vehicles and robots to bring computer interfaces, this automaker, China's top auto exporter for 23 consecutive years, is rapidly expanding its global footprint and advancing future-focused industries.
In fact, today's vehicles, especially smart cars, are essentially mobile robots. That's why we integrated our platforms on both sides. AI Moga is also Anhui's first platform and lab for in-vehicle and robot collaboration. Our core RD focus now is to connect vehicles and robots. Over the past 3 decades, leveraging our global presence and RD strengths, we have expanded into the smart industry. Chery robots are now present in more than 30 countries, including Malaysia, Indonesia, and South Africa.
And home to 7 automotive OEMs, Anhui boasts over 3,000 major auto parts firms. Leading suppliers including Fuyao Glass, Goshen High Tech have settled here, forming a robust industrial cluster.
As we all know, Anhui's auto industry has grown rapidly and now ranks among the nation's best. That's the main reason we chose to build our plant here. The province has built up a complete supporting industrial chain. It is also home to over 100 universities, providing a steady stream of talented people, a strong guarantee for our development.
Waves of innovation are sweeping across this land along the Yangtze and Huaihe rivers. Leveraging its central location linking east, west, south, and north in China, Anhui is accelerating industrial upgrading and planning for future industries, powering China's modernization drive. Xu Yi, CGTN, Anhui Province.
Coming up next on Global Business. Flying fears. Global aviation leaders at the IATA summit in Rio de Janeiro are raising fresh concerns over the Middle East conflict, citing fuel supply and airspace disruptions.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business. Only on CGTN.
Global airline leaders gathered in Rio de Janeiro for the International Air Transport Association's annual summit. The meeting came amid growing disruptions to the sector caused by the Middle East conflict. The association sharply cut its 2026 outlook, citing higher fuel prices and airspace disruptions. CGTN's Lucrecia Franco reports from Rio.
For airlines, the turbulence this year hasn't been limited to the skies. Hosted by LATAM Airlines Group, the discussions at this year's IATA Summit have centered on mounting uncertainty facing airlines worldwide as conflict in the Middle East pushed up fuel costs and disrupted routes. New IATA data released in Rio showed airlines' profit outlook has been slashed by nearly half from 2025. The industry is now expected to achieve a combined net profit of $23 billion this year, down from an earlier forecast of $41 billion.
We expect at a global industry level that fuel will represent about 31.4% of the cost base this year. $350 billion, $100 billion increase on where we were last year. And that will have and is having an impact for every airline.
IATA chief economist Marie Owens-Thompson says a prolonged conflict in the Middle East could further weaken the aviation industry's outlook, raising the risk of deeper financial pressure on airlines.
So we're flirting with the zero bottom line, right? And I think the impacts are much broader than most people imagine. And I also believe that they will last for longer than most people imagine.
On the upside, industry executives gathered in Rio say Latin America remains a market to watch. In Brazil, passenger demand has continued to grow, with domestic and international travel surpassing pre-pandemic levels. According to IATA, Brazil's domestic market topped 100 million passengers for the first time in 2025.
So one region's loss is another region's opportunity. And that's what we're seeing, and we're hopeful here in Latin America. We have to remember that air transportation in a country like Brazil, where ground transportation is practically in existence for the whole country, you don't have rail system. Air connectivity is essential.
For Rio, however, the gathering also marked a symbolic return. The last IATA meeting in South America was held here in 1999 when the World Air Transport Summit format was introduced, transforming the annual event into a broader forum for aviation and policy discussions. And now, 27 years later, IATA wraps up its Rio summit as airlines navigate mounting uncertainty. Next, IATA will shift the spotlight to China, one of the world's largest aviation markets, announcing the 2027 IATA summit will be held in Xiamen, in the country's southeast. Lucrecia Franco, CGTN, Rio de Janeiro.
Not just for aviation, of course. Conflicts in the Middle East have driven fuel prices higher across Europe. CGTN's Zhu Xuesong visited a fishing port in western France to find out how the country's fishing industry is coping with the growing pressure.
Before dawn breaks, trawlers set out from the harbour. Just a few hours later, their catch is sold at auction. This is the daily rhythm of life in Gilvinac, one of France's busiest fishing ports. But soaring fuel costs are beginning to take a toll. For fishermen in western France, the size of the catch is only part of the equation. Rising fuel costs is putting increasing pressure on the industry, making every trip to sea more expensive than before. As conflicts continue in the Middle East, concerns over energy costs are reaching fishing ports like this one across Europe. Since tensions escalated in the Middle East, fuel prices have surged across Europe. In France, marine diesel costs nearly doubled within weeks. For many fishing operators, staying profitable is becoming increasingly difficult.
In a fishing company, fuel accounts for around 30% of operating costs, alongside the wages paid to crews. As soon as fuel prices rise, the pressure becomes unbearable for businesses.
For France's deep-sea fleets operating across the Indian Ocean, the difficulties faced are more than fuel prices alone.
Today, because all these forces are occupied in Hormuz Straits and in the Persian Gulf, there is less protection in Somalia, and that means that the piracy is rising again. So that's a consequence of the conflict.
In southern Brittany, catches fell 12% during the first 4 months of the year, according to French government data. The decline has tightened supply and driven up auction prices, but not enough to offset soaring fuel costs.
Fishermen have no way of passing the fuel cost increase on to consumers. They are the first link in the chain. They have no choice but to absorb it directly from their own cash flow.
Fishing more is not an option either.
We have no solution today. We are obliged to fish. We need to fish. The goal could be to fish more, but we have quota. We have regulation in the fishing, so we cannot fish more.
Consumers are feeling the effects as well. According to France Agrimur, French households bought 21% less fresh cod in the first 2 months of the year, while purchases of fresh safe fell 13%. As prices rise, more shoppers are turning to frozen and canned alternatives.
Fuel prices have gone up so much. Everything is connected. Fish prices, business costs, the cost of living, it all moves together.
Some ship owners are trying to adapt. Jean-Baptiste Goulard invested in diesel-electric hybrid vessels nearly a decade ago. Today, that decision is paying off.
We've been working with this boat for nearly 5 years now, and we estimate we're saving around 20% on fuel.
For most operators, however, replacing aging vessels remains financially out of reach. France has introduced fuel subsidies, but industry representatives say the support is insufficient to offset rising costs. As a result, modernizing the fleet is expected to be a long-term challenge.
We hope this conflict in the Middle East won't last for months, because if it does, we cannot see how we will survive in the long term.
For now, staying afloat is the primary goal. Zhu Xuesong, CGTN, Giovinac, France.
US tech giant Apple is holding its annual Worldwide Developers Conference, or WWDC, where it is making clear that it intends to go all in on AI. As Mark New reports, this also comes as Apple sees a shuffle at the top.
Even more personal and useful.
Facing ridicule from competitors and even a lawsuit over a stalled effort to bring AI to the iPhone, Apple unveiled a new, more powerful, updated version of its AI assistant Siri.
Where is this exactly?
This Apple executive shows how Siri can identify the location of this arch, find an old message with the address of a friend nearby, and then map a drive to the arch with a stop at the friend's house along the way.
I wonder if he's nearby. We believe that truly helpful AI must be centered around you and your needs. This means integrating AI deep into the products you use every day, grounding it in your personal context.
Of course, Apple's been very much behind in AI, behind Microsoft and behind Google. This closes that gap dramatically and showcases Apple's strength of being able to move across a variety of their products.
Ironically, to power Apple Intelligence, Apple is actually partnering with its AI rival, Google's Gemini.
They don't have a lot of control of where Google's going with their AI. Apple's a vertically integrated vendor with a history of not working well with others. So that's all going to be kind of problematic as this relationship continues. My expectation is they're going to swap this out for their own AI as soon as they have something that is viable.
Apple says it has an extra layer of security by using its own cloud service, private cloud compute, so that user data is never stored or shared with anyone else.
Let's find the right voice for you.
Siri's trademark voice has also become more human-like and can be adjusted to one's liking.
You have one new message.
Apple Intelligence has also improved Siri's ability to dictate, write emails, and edit photos. Apple showed off a new photography tool called spatial reframing that can adjust the angle of this photo and generate parts of the background to fill gaps.
It's like I was able to go back in time and adjust my camera in the moment I snapped the photo.
The ability to change the overall format of a picture post-shot, the layout, the angle of the camera is also new and powerful.
CEO Tim Cook, who steps down from his role in September, also had a final message.
I truly believe the best is still ahead. It's been the honor of a lifetime to help advance that mission with teams whose creativity, care, and conviction continue to make a lasting difference in people's lives.
Worldwide Developer Conference provides a sneak peek for developers to see what's on the horizon and to see how they can fit into the Apple ecosystem. Now the focus shifts to September, when Apple is expected to launch new iPhones that incorporate the advanced artificial intelligence. That's also the same time that incoming CEO John Ternus officially takes up the reins of one of the world's most valuable companies. Mark New, CGTN, Silicon Valley.
Across the Atlantic, London Tech Week has opened with a strong message from UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He says Britain should help build the AI revolution, not simply react to it.
The Prime Minister delivered the keynote here, saying we are in a revolution with the potential to transform lives across the country, with Britain uniquely placed to lead in the world. He highlighted the fact that the UK is the world's third largest tech economy and said the government had a responsibility not just to regulate innovation, but to actively help it flourish.
That is why today I'm really pleased to announce a new strategy to develop sovereign compute capability. It includes a major new commitment to purchase specialist AI chips worth about £400 million. Providing a generational opportunity to some of our most promising startups.
CEO of chipmaker AMD, Lisa Su, announced it will also invest over $2.5 billion in the UK over the next 5 years. But alongside the optimism, there are concerns over AI. Keir Starmer spoke about not leaving children behind when it came to learning about AI, saying that AI tutors would become available to over 450,000 of the UK's most economically disadvantaged students. And addressing the potential impact on jobs, he said AI would be available to help people create CVs when looking for work. But one of the biggest talking points making headlines in the UK is about the protection of children. Starmer gave tech firms 3 months to voluntarily activate features that block sexually explicit images to people under 18 or face legislation that will force them to do so. For some of the international exhibitors on display here, these issues are at the forefront of their thinking as they also embrace the opportunities of the AI future.
So everything has a layer of AI to it. So artificial intelligence is certainly something that we're building and exploring. And much like the mid-90s when you talked about the World Wide Web, it was this idea, this tool, but now it's everything. And I think that's the way that the companies need to think about it.
AI is replacing, in many cases, human, and we have to be very careful. So we are, I would say, at least aware, and we are preparing ourselves.
Currently, the world, every country is looking at AI, and the Portuguese government is not the exception, and we are promoting AI. And again, it is an area that we are keen not only to develop as a country itself, but also to attract investment and foreign companies to go there.
So while today's announcements underline the scale of investment going into artificial intelligence, the challenges for business and governments alike will be to make sure that security, trust and regulation keep pace with the technology itself. Jen Copestake, CGTN, London.
Mexico is preparing to host the opening match of the 2026 FIFA World Cup, a historic moment for a nation whose passion for football is legendary. But as excitement builds, many fans say soaring ticket prices and commercialisation are putting the tournament out of reach. CGTN's Alistair Baverstock reports from Mexico City.
Mexico City's Estadio Azteca, hallowed ground for football fans around the world, and particularly for Mexicans.
Aquí en México.
Mexico is one of the most passionate countries when it comes to football. For us, it is almost a religion.
Como una religión.
On June 11th, the newly renovated Azteca will host the opening game of the 2026 FIFA World Cup as Mexico takes on South Africa. The date has been declared a regional holiday in Mexico City, yet fans like Bernardo won't be here.
No tengo boletos, intenté conseguir.
I don't have tickets. I tried to get them on the FIFA website, and then I stood in line for the last-minute sale, and still nothing.
Mexico will become the first country to host 3 different FIFA World Cups this year, a significant achievement for a country which lives and breathes football. However, fans who remember the 1970 and 1986 tournaments say the feeling in the country ahead of this year's tournament is different. Even the cheapest tickets for the matches in Mexico now sell for thousands of dollars, unaffordable for most fans.
There's not the same euphoria in the public, not the same excitement or passion. These tournaments should be for the people, not for the rich elites.
It has turned into an event where money is the most important thing.
Lifelong fanatics Guillermo Irurita and his family own a private box at the Azteca, so he needs no ticket to attend the World Cup games here. But event organisers have still found a way to charge long-time box owners like Guillermo.
We won't be allowed to bring our own food or drink, and they have invented hospitality packages consisting of sodas, potato chips and water for $10,000 per game.
For Mexico's football-mad public, it's leaving a sour taste.
The games will be full of people who aren't real fans. The atmosphere I loved of fans who really cared about the game's gone. Now it's all selfies, and in the long run, that's not good for football.
Many Mexican football fans like Guillermo say greed is starting to make the beautiful game look ugly. Alistair Baverstock, CGTN, Mexico City.
A recent industry report said hotel bookings in World Cup cities in the US are lower than expected. High ticket prices are keeping many fans at home, which could mean more spending in the UK. Rahul Pathak reports.
English football fans jump for joy watching their team's victories during the last World Cup. However, over the next month, it won't just be supporters celebrating. Bars, pubs and venues across the UK will all be hoping to score big during the 2026 World Cup with a much-needed boost to their profits.
Well, it's a lot quieter here now at Box Park Croydon, but expect this place to be absolutely bouncing when England play their World Cup matches. Now, the owners here say that they expect tickets for those England matches to sell out, despite the fact that games are kicking off relatively late because of the time difference between here and the United States. And while people can watch the World Cup at home for free, venues like this will be expecting thousands to come down for the atmosphere and, more importantly, to spend their money while they're here.
If we take England as an example, the 3 group games, 2 of them are weeknights, fantastic opportunity in there. If they go all the way to the final, that's an additional 5 games. We know one of them will be a Sunday night. Again, a great night to boost hospitality. And then you've got 3 of maybe 4 of those games, again, being weeknights. So, huge opportunity to boost.
It isn't just hospitality that reaps the rewards. The World Cup can be a financial windfall for the entire retail sector. Supermarkets, off-licences, betting shops, electronic stores all see a boost to their businesses during the tournament, one that's needed in a year that's seen the UK economy struggle.
I think we are hoping that the World Cup does provide a boost. I was looking back at some figures we got from the European Championships in 2024, and while the weather wasn't actually great during that month, what we did see was an uptick in the sale of things, for example, like home entertainment systems. So people looking to upgrade their TVs, computers, laptops, whatever it is that they might be watching the games on. And then obviously the purchase of food and drink and other items like that.
The figures certainly bear this out. A leading British retail website estimated that this year's Men's World Cup could generate up to $5.1 billion for the UK economy. That's more than the last Men's European Championships when England reached the final, and significantly more than the previous World Cup in Qatar, although that figure may have been impacted by the World Cup being played in winter. One of the main reasons this particular World Cup is expected to bring such a significant financial bonanza is that it's bigger and longer. A longer tournament means more matches and more opportunities for football fans to spend their money as they support their team, meaning that no matter how well the England team does, the real winner will be the economy. Rahul Pathak, CGTN, London.
As a co-host of the 2026 World Cup, Mexico is not only getting ready for the matches, but also aiming to boost its national image, tourism and urban development. Our reporter Susin Bo has more.
World Cup fever has quietly spread across Mexico City, from airports to streets, from business districts to public spaces. As a 2026 co-host, Mexico is embracing the event through art and culture. Mayor Clara Brugada plans to create 1,000 World Cup-themed murals across the city, turning it into a giant canvas of football culture and urban energy. The business buzz has also reached the food industry, with many restaurants and bars already planning themed events to attract fans from around the world.
We've launched special World Cup set menus for those who can't get into the stadium. We expect customer traffic to increase in the coming weeks, with revenue rising by about 20%.
Mexican tourism industry professionals expect over 800,000 additional international visitors during the 2026 World Cup.
Hosting the World Cup is a rare opportunity for any country. We hope it goes smoothly, as it will help Mexico present a more comprehensive image to the world. Mexico has rich, diverse tourism resources and is a destination worth visiting. In my view, the greatest value of the World Cup is enhancing the Mexico national brand internationally.
Industry leaders say the World Cup brings not just short-term spending, but a chance to showcase Mexico's image to the world.
Best of luck to your team in the World Cup. That is it for this edition of Global Business. I'm Lincoln Humphreys in Beijing. Thank you very much for your company. We'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.